Oof. All right, here we are. Hey guys, so today's video is just really an update. I realize I haven't posted in like 2 months or so I wanted to just give you guys a quick update of what I've been up to. The main things covered in this video is I've gone a paid internship in London, I have a part-time job on the weekends, traveling in Brighton and London, finishing first year of university, general kind of reflections, and volleyball. I put chapters in the video so you can skip around to any of those chapters. And if you have any questions, do feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll just try to answer your questions in the comments. So, getting a paid internship. I'm currently working with NeighbourlyLab as a research assistant / contractor, so that means I work with NeighbourlyLabs and the University of Sussex, and I also work with the Hammersmith and Fulham Council, which is the project where the project is based. And the project itself is called TheEssentialMix, and you can find more details about that and on NeighbourlyLabs in the link in the description if you're interested. It's more social psychology work. The general scope of it is to decrease antisocial behavior and to increase more positive interactions between essential workers and residents within that specific area, but also get a general understanding of what residents' perceptions are of that area. It's quite interesting. I really enjoyed it. My job is to collect data through observation and resident intercepts. I shadow the law enforcement team in the south, north, and central team, just write my observations, and resident intercepts, I just survey residents about their general perceptions on the area. Only work a couple days a month to collect data for this pilot study to be written on by NeighbourlyLab, and by the end of the month I submit a large presentation. For this one it was around 17 slides of my analysis and observation, and I sent it out to my head researchers. The feedback that I got was they were super pleased with it, so I'm relieved. I was overall apprehensive going into this because I was the only first year going alongside master and PhD students, but they were very supportive, and I've learned a lot from shadowing them as well. How I got this job I'll go into in another video, also with CVs and interviews. The feedback that I got from them in the first month was essentially they were really happy with my interview, but they said that my CV was a bit lackluster compared to my interview, so I think I can give some advice in a separate video on CV and interview preparation. I've really honed in my CV a bit more after they'd said that, and for the interview try to do the same for future jobs and to see if I can even improve my interviews further on. The key takeaway is interviews can really sell you off even if your application doesn't sell them off initially. So I work part-time on the weekends, Saturday, Sunday at New Pasto, an Italian restaurant. It's near the seafront in Brighton. It's a great place. I enjoy my managers and my colleagues. They were all very supportive. I'll go into detail also how getting a part-time job, that was a different process than getting the paid internship, so I'll get into that in another video as well. I work as a waiter. It's everything you expect a waiter to do, maybe a few extra things like helping behind the bar a bit, maybe sometimes cleaning utensils or like glasses, but that's pretty much it. I take orders, welcome the guests, open and close the restaurant sometimes. I really enjoy it. It's a waiter and a bit of everything as well. The managers also help out the restaurant as well. They also do the role that I would do if it gets really busy and all the waiters are kind of occupied as well, so they also go help out. So one thing I will say is that yes, they're very nice, but just in every job as well, I'm more hyper vigilant, and I've had friends tell me very helpful. They've worked in bad and good environments, and they say if you're a hard worker, people might take advantage of you, so just really take that into account. And yes, you got your first job and you might feel very happy about it, but people can take advantage of you, so set those boundaries straight, make sure they know, and if they don't agree or they don't understand, then better have a job where your efforts are recognized and work really hard, and then people just take advantage of you. So take that into account. So learning to travel in Brighton and in London. I won't complicate things. For Brighton, I use something called the Brighton Hove app. It's for tracking buses and buying tickets, individual tickets, 24-hour passes, 1-week passes, 1-year passes. For London, I use something called CityPlanner. This to help me get around the tubes, the buses, the trains. And this is super useful because I don't live in London, so I wasn't too familiar with the tubes, the trains especially. And this is a good introduction. Now I have a good understanding of how the tubes work, and I use the app occasionally, but now I have just a better understanding of how the tubes work. And for buying train tickets, I use Trainline. You can buy a rail card from there. You can buy individual tickets there. They have student discounts as well. So those are the 3 apps I use. I highly recommend you check them out. If you come to Brighton, familiarize yourself with Brighton Hove app. One last thing I will say from my experience, try to leave 45 to 60 minutes earlier because it's not uncommon to have strikes or protests in Brighton or in London. In London, it's a bit more rare. But trains can get canceled, buses can get delayed or canceled as well. So if you're making a plan, and especially if it's traveling for work and you're not planning for contingencies, then you might be late to work. I'll be honest. Even if it's well-intentioned, sometimes your bosses can understand. If they're nice, make a plan for if things go wrong. That's my advice. So, university. I didn't really understand how the grading system worked in the UK. I didn't really know if it was universal or a change between courses, but it is universal. I'll show the grading system here. You can have a website in the description on more detailed breakdown of the UK grading system. I finished with the first. I was quite happy, 75% overall, but I don't think it's completely indicative of how well I would do in person, because mine was a mixture of online and in person with exams as well. So I don't think it's completely indicative. Next year is going to be all in person. And for first year and second year and third year, the weightings are, for first year it's 0%, second year is 40%, and third year is 60%. People might be tempted to think that first year doesn't matter, and technically it does not matter. But it does matter in the sense that, how I like to think of it is, there are a lot of fundamentals and a few complex bits of knowledge that you'll learn your first year that you'll immediately jump into the more complex parts in your second year. And I can think already two things like coding and psychobiology, for example. Coding especially, if you don't know the fundamentals and how to do the basics of coding, in your second year when you're doing takeaway papers, and in coding you just know or you don't. And takeaway papers are where you're given tasks and then you have to write your own code and data analysis yourself with no help. You can look at online researchers, but you can't ask anyone. You have to do it all yourself, and it's 24 hours usually, or 48 hours. And if you don't know, it's very, very difficult to find out what you don't know. The second thing is something called placements. A placement is something that you can take after your second year and before your third year. It's not for everyone. Placements are unpaid or paid. You got to work alongside the NHS for unpaid, and with sort of private firms for paid. Paid is more data analysis, advertising, all that. So if you're interested in coding or research, you go into that. The pay is quite good. It's 20 to 25,000 pounds a year, if I remember correctly. And for unpaid, it's unpaid. It's both are a whole school year, and for the placements, it's you pay a reduced tuition cost for that school year. It doesn't count towards your degree or anything, but it's really good to have on your CV, especially if you're going into a doctorate or a PhD and you need that clinical or research experience. Then that will be super useful. That's why I'm going into it or trying to do one. And you're applying to those placements during your second year. At the start, towards November, December, I believe, is when you start creating that process of applying to placements, because they can take a while for you to accept, for them to accept, I mean. And which grades are you going to use? You're going to use your first year grades, because you can't use your second year grades because you haven't been graded yet at that point. If you go into something like data analysis, you'd hope to show a high grade for data analysis or coding as something on your resume, so you can show that it's something that you exceed at and something you're quite interested in and passionate about. And same can be said for other subjects in your first year, especially if you're going unpaid. I should mention, I'll go into placements more in depth in another video. Essentially, placements for the unpaid, you can work in forensics in prisons and in a mental health institution. You can work in charities, you can work in rehab centers, for physical rehab, for mental rehab, for neurological impairments. I think the clinical side, it's super interesting, and it's not just confined to Sussex. You can go to University of Bath, Cambridge, I think Kent, Reading. There are a few placements that Sussex offer. Finally, volleyball. So I joined the Volleyball Society, and one of the best choices I made, I'll be completely honest. I think if you want to meet people in university, meeting people through like-minded activities, it can be anything. It doesn't have to just be sports. It can be movies. Joining people with like-minded interests it makes it a lot easier to make friends. I found in my course, people shied away from conversation a lot. I'm gonna be Sussex men's captain next year, and we're working with the new committee to make next year an even better year. The two main things were we were assigned in the BUCS league. That's a uni league that's based in the UK or different parts of the UK, or where the different competitions occur. For us, we're in the Southeastern League, and we're in Division 1. There are 3 divisions, I believe. There's Prem, Premier, Division 1, Division 2. And the winner from each division goes up, and the loser from their division goes down. So the loser from Prem goes to Div 1, and the winner from Div 1 goes to Prem next year. That's how it works. We got 3rd. We were tied on 3rd with Kings. UCL, I believe, went up to Prem. And when you go to Prem, you play other universities that beat their league. So that's kind of a men's national. And I think UCL won that for our specific area as well. So the goal next year is to get into Prem. We want to win our league next year. That's the goal. That's the goal. The goal is to win our league next year. I think we can really do it. I don't say that lightly. I hope you'll stay tuned for the volleyball videos to see their journey, see maybe the new team as well. I think I'll plan to make a video, kind of like semi-formal interview with the new team, so you can kind of see who everyone is. Second thing, PCU games. Belgium and Antwerp 2022. That was really fun, but also a bit unbalanced. We were playing, there were some teams that struggled to have enough people to bring to Belgium, and there were some teams that were semi-professionals and they had 20 people lined up, and one was their A-star team and one was their A team. We got second place in that, and in the finals we got absolutely walloped. Second set was a bit more tied, but we still lost that one. I didn't record that game. It sucks. I forgot to record a couple of those games. The only one that I did record was the Luxembourg game. I wanted to record the finals. I wish you guys could have seen that, because yeah, I want to show us lose, but I want to also show you that these guys are really, really good. And even though we did lose, they were very challenging, and sometimes it's really good to lose to really, really good players. Even if you played your best, it makes you know what you need to do in the future. Something to strive for, I would say. It was an educational loss. Still wish we won though, but it is what it is. Hopefully we can do something quite similar to that or this year. That's the plan. So that's pretty much it. I'll try posting more videos from now on. I think I have some ideas coming up, that's why. If you did enjoy the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps me out. Also hit the bell notification and keep posting on my videos. If you want a tour of Sussex, I did a tour of Sussex. You can check that out. I think I might do an update video on the Sussex tour, because there have been some stuff that's updated and you guys seem to really like it. So I think I'll do a new tour video for you guys in the future. So that's it for me. Hope you have a great day. See ya.